Hello and welcome to today's build, where today, as you can see, there's not a whole lot left to this trailer. In this video, towards the end, we are going to be seeing a little bit of part 3, where we are starting to rebuild. However, for now, let's just concentrate on what we need to dismantle. We need to take off our 2 wheel wells, and then we need to remove our floor. And as you saw with the beginning in the video, we were scraping the tile off of here. I hope there's no asbestos in it. I don't think it is. From the research I did, I think we're okay. But we need to remove what's left on here so we can get to the bolt heads, which holds these planks of wood down to the steel frame. Because we have a good friend of ours who's going to help us do some welding. Right now there's just a piece of steel running down there and there. That's it. There's no steel on the back, and there isn't any steel along the front. And we think that we're going to add some steel to this little trailer here to kind of stiffen it up. If you recall, our sidewalls from the beginning, they were tacked on to the edges of the boards here. We actually want our walls to be sitting on some steel, to be able to take those bumps. So that'll be part of this build. Once we remove the floor, then we're going to expose the steel. We'll be grinding away the rust, and then we'll be cutting our new steel pieces. And well, you just have to continue to watch, and we'll show you what we're going to do. So today is floors, wood, and steel. So to remove this wheel well, there's 2 L brackets, one here and one here. And I just removed those screws, and it should just lift right up. There. So basically I had 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4 holding this well on. We will be reusing the top metal of our wheel wells. However, in the new build, we're going to replace the back here with galvanized steel. Let's go ahead and take off that other wheel well now. And that's the last screw for this side. There's our second wheel well. It's actually in pretty good shape. We'll put these away for storage when we begin to rebuild them, which should be probably 2 videos from now, maybe 3. This backboard is back where the battery box used to be. Remember all that rot that fell? Well, they've replaced the floor here, and it's missing some of the wood under here. We're going to remove this piece here, which was added sometime later. It's held on by a couple of screws, but not very well. Just peel it off. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like a little girl playing in a sandbox. With the little sailboat in the clouds. That's interesting. You never know where this stuff came from. So let's give you a little update of where we're at. We have removed the first 2 boards from the front of the trailer to the back. We first tried to unbolt the bolts, but as you can see here, they're just so rusted, and pretty much we ended up just snapping them off. And the ones that we couldn't snap off because we couldn't get them to move at all, instead of taking a grinder and going underneath the trailer and getting all that grinding stuff in our face, what I've opted to do is, I have my drill over there, but get all the dirt to fall. You can see here I have these holes. What I did was I took a drill that is a hole saw drill, and I just used the drill and drilled out around the bolt, and then be careful, as soon as I hit the metal frame below, then I stopped. But then that way I was able just to leave the bolts in place and take the wood off. And then I'll go back from the top view and I'll cut off the bolts. I don't know if we're going to use these pieces of wood again for the floor. They're pretty rough, so I was hoping to be able to salvage them. But at this point, the whole thing I'm trying to do is just get the floors off and so that we can get the steel work going. I did want to mention that when the person put this trailer together, he did a very, very good job. He countersunk all of the bolts, and then he filled them in with putty and sanded them smooth so that when he put the tile on, then you weren't able to see where the bolts were. So nice job again on whoever built this. So we're going to continue to drill out bolts and continue to take off the wood, and we'll get back with you. So to give you an example of how this works, the wood has the flooring, the original flooring still on it, the mastic and whatnot, and we know that there's a bolt under here. So we just take our scraper, we expose where the bolt is, which is there. So we take our hole saw, run it over the bolt. Okay, I think we're through the wood. Not quite, but there we go. So then we get our piece of wood off like that. And it has the bigger holes in it, but if we reuse them, we can always fill those back in. And then it leaves me the bolt heads here that I can cut off from the top. So we're going to leave this one here to keep the trailer stable. We're going to remove one more here so that when we put the welder on here, we don't have interference with the wood. So we'll continue to move on to the back. We removed the wood floor because we needed to get down to our steel frame. The steel frame on this, again, was great for going maybe 35 miles an hour, but in today's speeds, that's not going to work. We have to add steel to make this trailer stronger. So we're exposed our steel edges here so that we can go ahead and add on some little extensions. Oh, you don't know? Look, here. Maybe this will explain it. Right now we have existing steel frame, and that's it. You have steel, steel, and nothing else. There's a tube before there, there's a tube before there. That's not strong enough. So what we're going to do in the next few minutes is we're going to measure and mark where we're going to add these steel outriggers. That way it'll connect these two existing pieces of steel together and also give us support in the back where our kitchenette is, and it'll support up here where the rest of the trailer sits. We know we need 31.5 inches from the front of this piece of steel down this edge and then back connecting to this main steel piece here. So we're going to measure 31.5 from here, here, and mark it. But before we mark it, we need to grind off the rust and the scale that's on here so we have nice fresh metal to mark on and to weld to. It's steel cutting time now. So we've gone around the entire trailer where we're going to be hooking on our brand new steel. We've ground down all the rust, and we're now getting ready to cut our first piece of new steel. I have an idea. Remember that fur in the fan thing? That's right. Safety first. there it is. This will be our new back piece. It's going to hold the two existing pieces of steel together. I never had one before. It was only a 2x4. So we're going to go ahead and continue to cut the rest of the steel, and we'll be back. After meeting over at Mark's and having the outer steel all welded and tacked up to our original steel, we've decided now it is time to remove our wood 2x4s and replace them with steel. That's HSS 2x4 by 1/8 inch steel. So what we need to do is just gently remove our wood out of there so that we can use the wood as a pattern, because as you'll see a little further down in this video, we actually have to cut some notches into the steel. In addition to our original 3.5 by 2 inch by 3/16 steel, there's also 2 of these round tubes that goes from the hitch all the way to the back of the trailer. We need to remove the bolts that are securing the tubes to the 2x4s. We'll go ahead and reuse the tubes, but we need to get all that wood out of there. So what we've been doing here lately, either before I'm talking now or just right after, we are in the process of restructuring the frame. The original was just 2 pieces of 2.5 or 2 inch by 3.5 inch angle iron, and it was, the cross members were wood. 2 of the main cross members, if you'll remember right, they were 2x4s. And in the front part of the 2x4s, on the front of the trailer, they were cracked along this edge here and along this edge here. Now the reason they were cracked, we can come over here with all of our cords. You look right here, this is a 2x4, so it's supposed to be 3.5 inches from here down to here. Well, they had to notch out for the 2 inch part of the 2.5 by 3 inch angle. So really that only gives it the strength of about an inch, inch and a quarter right here. So instead of having the strength of a 3.5 inch 2x4, you have an inch and a quarter roughly. And also, so that's why it's cracked off here, and really that's just not a great support. Now for, again, back then when they're only going 35 miles an hour, okay, maybe it was okay. But after we had our buddy Mark help us do some steel welding, he suggested that we go ahead and replace these 2x4s with not 2x4s, but with steel. So we're replacing them with these beefy 2 inch by 3 inch by 1/8 HSS beams. Now we've gone ahead and we've cut out the same slots that was in the 2x4. We've cut out those slots in our steel. And we're not going to lose any strength because we're going to weld these angles, or we're going to weld these edges in the top. We're going to weld it all to the 3.5 angle iron. So it should be very strong. I think this is a better way to go. It adds a little bit of weight to the trailer, maybe another, I don't know, with all the steel I put in here, it's maybe an extra 75 pounds. I really didn't want to add that much weight, but you also want to have a good foundation to put your trailer on and to pull it around the freeways and through your campground. So that's what we did. We have 2 of these, and on both of them we've cut the notches, and now we're just fitting them so that they'll go nice and snug up against the 3.5 by 2 angle. So we're now going to fit our new piece of steel into the existing trailer steel. Should slide right in. Well, that's it for part 2. We've done 9 videos, taking us from our original trailer, the aluminum frame, down to the wood, down to the walls, down to the floor, to the main steel frame. And that's about it. There's hardly anything left of our trailer. It's been great having you along, and I do appreciate you viewing our videos and the comments which I have received. I'd like to invite you to come along to part 3, where we're going to be adding a new floor. We will be adding new walls, and the great thing about those new walls is it's going to be, the main frame behind it is going to be glue lamination. I haven't done that before, but I've seen it done on another trailer similar to ours, and so that should be kind of fun, making the main frame out of a glue lam system. Once we get that done, then we'll be adding insulation to that. There's going to be electrical, a little bit of plumbing. We're going to be restoring our sink. We're going to restore our little gas stovetop. We'll be storing that ice box. I love that ice box. So it's going to be quite the journey to have in part 3. I hope you'll come along and join with us. I will say that I'm not quite ready for a video next week, so probably give me a couple weeks to get stuff rolling. But we'll be back. I do appreciate the subscribers we have, and thanks for your time. We'll see you when we get back for part 3.